Mic check, mic check. One more time, mic check, mic check. All right, there we go. Sound check is good. What is that? Nope. Still trying to figure out the Elgato thing. Not doing well here. Not doing well at all. That's alright. We'll just do it like that, do a manual. There we go. Yeah, it's only my second time using it. I'm still having to figure it out still. Programming all the functions. What's going on, everybody? My name is Gabriel, and I'm the messenger, apparently, according to my name. Much like the Archangel Gabriel the messenger. Don't ask me why. Actually, feel free to ask me why, because it was a God-given title. It just hit me, you know, I wanted to do something a lot cooler, something a little less cliche. But God kept saying, nope, the messenger, the messenger. Alright, here I am. Gabriel the messenger. What's going on, everybody? I got a doozy of a topic today. I realize I haven't really done much research on it, you know, so I can't say too much. But I got some opinions. And I was just curious as to what your guys' opinions were as well. Well, alright. Weird Facebook message. Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine. He came out from California. We were chilling at a bar one day. And like I said, the topic of abortion came up. You know, I don't even know how it really came up. But, you know, I mentioned about how I thought it was wrong, how I thought it was murder. And he was like, well, you know, he's like, he knew someone who got a test done when they were pregnant. And the test said that, like, the baby had like a 90% chance of like having Down syndrome or autism or something like that. So they decided to abort the baby. And I'm like, you know, that's pretty close to, well, eugenics as a whole, you know, and like what we consider as the idea of eugenics. You know, most people, when they hear the word, it's instantly a bad taste. You know, it's instantly linked in with the scientific racism and stuff like that, and the whole trying to call out certain skin colors, certain races of people because other people thought they were inferior. And it's one of those things, man. It's a slippery slope, you know. Because me personally, I'm like, you know, if you think about it, we practice eugenics all the time, just by like selecting our partners, you know. Because it's like you pick people that you're attracted to, And really what attraction comes down to is people that you would want to reproduce with, like at its core. You know, that's why we're naturally attracted to what we are. We really don't have a choice over it, you know. And it's just our bodies, you know, it's just our primal selves knowing it's like, hey, you know, this person has qualities that if mixed with mine would make really strong babies, you know. That's why ladies tend to like the guys that are taller, that, you know, that are ripped and stuff like that. Men tend to like ladies that are younger, more fit. Because statistically speaking, and even the money thing, you know, the whole hypergamy thing comes down to attraction, to the survival of our species, you know. The idea that women want men of, like, you know, in positions of power, and men who make a lot of money. That all comes down to survival, you know. When you really think about it, when you really look at the basics of, like, human, not anatomy, but what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but our instincts, you know. Basically, what we find attractive in the opposite sex, it comes down to, like, what we would want. Basically, for our babies to look like. Our babies to act like, you know. Women like men who are athletes because, you know, they're very physically strong, they're generally tall, they're strong, they're able of protecting, you know, the family. They're like men who make a lot of money because they can provide, you know, some safety for them and the children. You know, that's why, I mean, I don't blame women for hypergamy, you know. It's just natural. It's just how things go for them, you know. Bender, what is going on, my brother? How you doing? Ooh, it's got a couple gas bubbles there. Hang on. There we go. Clearing out my chest. How you doing, my brother? How'd editing go? After we parted ways, I ended up I got something to eat, took a nap longer than I thought I would. Woke up, did a little research into eugenics, just a little bit, just watched a couple videos. Nothing that's real research or anything. Just posted a short video. Got a headache, but may still join the game in a few. Alright, let me know. Let me know if you're interested. I'll start that convoy. That's what's up. I have to check that short later. But yeah, you know, I watched a few videos about, like, you know, eugenics and, like, kind of the history of it and stuff. And I mean, I didn't take any notes or anything, just kind of like listen. And I was like, you know what, man, maybe it wasn't exactly what I thought it was. You know, I literally thought eugenics was only the racial discrimination side of things, you know. Bender says, I must admit that the term is slightly obscured. Controlled abortion, right? Abortion, yeah, I mean, that's kind of... that's the more extreme ends of it. I think what I learned about eugenics is that, like, there's a kind of like most things in science, there's a lot of different angles to it. There's a lot of different, you know, a lot more nuances than just that. Because, like, you know, it even starts at before. Let me see. Yeah, I have to stop here. It even starts at before conceiving, you know. Before the conception of the baby. So, like, for example, I can't remember, they used an example where there was a government that or yeah, the government, the president or whoever it was, would host a cruise that would, and they would invite only single men and women who had just recently graduated college. And the idea was that to get some of the bright minds, the brightest minds together, and hopefully they find a partner, and then make some really smart babies, you know. Okay, the whole reproductive chain. Yeah, yeah, there we go. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, the whole reproductive chain. And you know, like when most people talk about it, yeah, they do talk about the whole controlled abortion thing, the whole forcing certain people to be sterile because they don't fit a certain profile, and that's where it gets really convoluted, really controversial. But yeah, eugenics as a whole, I mean, it starts, you know, it actually started with Darwinism, with the whole theory of evolution, and it kind of branched off from that, and I believe they said it was one of Darwin's cousins that started the research on it, and it just kind of went from there. But yeah, they were talking about it in animals as well. You know, if you think about it, eugenics, we use eugenics for animals, for dogs all the time, or at least back in the day, you know, when we needed dogs more for what's it called, for labor purposes. Well, I guess even now, you know, people make their designer breeds, so they breed two animals together that have certain qualities that they're looking for, you know, and that's really what eugenics comes down to, is breeding with the purpose of making the strongest offspring possible. Right, animal eugenics. Yeah, exactly. So I see where it gets controversial, you know, and like, you know, there was the whole, like I said, there was a movement where apparently it was predominantly, you know, white men that were in power, that were like, you know, making laws and stuff. They were pushing the eugenic things, and they started targeting, like, you know, women of African and Indian descent, saying that basically they possessed, or they didn't possess, you know, traits that were conducive to, you know, the survival of the human race, essentially. And you know, obviously that's fucked up, man. Like you can't just be like, oh, because your skin's darker. But you know, that, I mean, that has less to do with eugenics and more to do with the wrong people getting into power and using certain systems. I mean, it's just like people using religion. You know, people using religion to push their power and get their way and push certain agendas that aren't necessarily moral or right, you know. Bender says, does that include animal husbandry? Cows, chicken, farm stuff? Likely does. Oh yeah, 100%. Because when it comes down to, especially with those kind of animals, because, you know, we're not gonna breed. For example, like, you know, say if someone, you know, a cow had a baby, and that baby couldn't produce milk, right? It was a female baby, perfectly healthy, except for some reason it couldn't produce milk. There's no way that they're gonna breed that, and in fact, it's not even gonna stay on the farm. They're probably gonna send it away for veal, you know, or something like that. At best, it'd become a pet cow, but you know, a cow that can't produce milk is useless to a dairy farmer. So they would absolutely use, you know, eugenics in that. And, like, you know, going the opposite way too. Say that they had two perfectly healthy milk-producing cows, but one of them produced 2 times as much as the other one. They're gonna see that, and they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we're breeding this lady, and hopefully her babies are gonna be producing just as much milk, you know, 2 times as much milk," and they're gonna keep doing that and stuff, you know. Yep, female twin cow. Female twin cows. So yeah, absolutely, it has to do with that animal husbandry stuff. Especially when it becomes like, you know, when it's like when animals are useful to us for food or labor and stuff like that, you know. That's, I mean, look at dogs. Dogs are perfect examples. You know, every species of dog right now, every breed, I should say, not species, but every breed of dog, you know, they all come from wolves. And it only took a couple generations to get each one of them to look the way they do, and they look the way they do so that they perform certain tasks. And it's not only just looks either. It is kind of that way in this day and age, but back in the day it was a lot more for function. Bender says, I don't even kill bugs. The product industry sickens me. I eat it though. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Okay, when it comes to like killing bugs, it's kind of senseless, because they're just in your house. They're just looking for food. They're not gonna hurt you. They're not looking to invade. They're just looking to survive. So when you kill a bug, that's just, to me, that's an abuse of power. When you kill an animal or another animal for food, that's a little different story, right? Like, it's like, okay, we're at the top of the food chain. God gave man dominion over animals for a reason. We need to eat, They tend to produce a lot faster than we do. Their needs are a lot less than ours, so there can be a lot more of them. So it's one of those things. And I'm with you, Bender. Then what gets me is the overproduction. So when it's like those slaughterhouses and stuff like that, where it's just like, and like you see those pictures of like chickens just crammed in like these tiny cages and stuff like that. So like when the animal's not being treated with respect, that's really what it comes down to. We should really be respecting these animals. We kind of lost that, over the years. Bender says totally true. It isn't wasting life. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it's not wasting life. And it's funny because like there's those vegans, those vegetarians or whatever, the holier than thous that like go against hunters, like people who hate Joe Rogan because he like hunts elk. And it's like, really, if you think about it, these hunters are like the top. They're the pinnacle of how you should be treating the food, because a lot of them, not the sports hunters, but the ones that do it, for food, they respect the animal. They really do, and like they do what they can to make sure that the animal's suffering is minimized. They also have certain rules where they like, they won't kill mothers. They'll only kill like young males after they've reached a certain age. Stuff like that. And not only that, but they tend to use every piece of the animal. And really, we really should be doing that more too, is using every piece of the animal. All the furs, all the tendons, all the meats, the blood, the bones. Nothing should be going to waste. But then, we get to that flip side of that thing where we talk about like, the slaughterhouses and the... Oh man, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. I can't even think. But the inhumane type of farming, where they're just like shove animals into cages and they're like, nut to butt, and they're all diseased and stuff like that. And they do it for the sake of money, for the sake of numbers and stuff. And it's like, I get it, you have a lot of people to feed, but you have to respect these animals. I mean, they're living creatures, and really, like, you could tell how good a society is. You could tell how good a race of people is by how they treat the things that are basically beneath them. And like, I don't say that in like, the terms of like we're above everything, but like all these things we have dominion over. Children, the elderly, animals, plants, the earth itself. You could really tell the moral fabric of society by how they treat these things, these quote-unquote defenseless things. Bender says, we have trouble here in New York with too many deer get hit by cars, eat all the plants, so few hunters now. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, when the whole industry... Oh yeah, that is a whole industry I would never have anything to do with. Yeah, absolutely not. No, the animal slaughter industry, Here's the thing, I could be a butcher, I think. I could be a hunter, I could be a butcher. But I could not work at one of those slaughterhouses or one of those, like, those farms, those mega farms or whatever you call them, And that's sad to hear about the deer too, and like, generally speaking, when they get hit by cars, they're kind of just disposed, they're discarded of, it's not even...
This is where it ends.
Not even used to like feed anybody or anything like that. I don't even know if you can. I mean, I'd assume you can. I don't think the meat would be destroyed by getting hit by a car. Bender says, I'm not judging, but not me. It's I have no place to judge, but I judge. I do when I see these pictures of like, like I said, the animals just shoved in these cages. And it's not even just the food industry either. What's really sad is came across this video. I can't remember what it's called, and it's probably for the best. But it was talking about where like PetSmart and stuff like that, these big pet stores, these big pet chains gets their Fuck. Can I not move? Oh, there we go. The hole is blocking me. Where they get their pets from, and it was insanely sad. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is even allowed. But yeah, the way they were just like mass producing these like hamsters and rats and birds and stuff like that, and you know the conditions that they were in, it was impossible for most of them to be healthy, so they would take the unhealthy or deformed ones and just like, and the way they would euthanize them was just brutal. So you know, so it's not just a food industry thing. You know, it's interesting how we talk about human eugenics and then we go over to the food industry. I love this stream. I love how the conversations go. Ooh, it's a long drive. I like it. Let's do it.
Time to hit the road.
Diverted. LOL. Always. Every time. I love it. But it does go along the same lines. You know, we're talking about eugenics and breeding for certain traits. And how eugenics in itself isn't necessarily immoral, you know. It's just the way we go about it. Because, you know, I was thinking about it. Again, you know, I mentioned my buddy who had that friend. Or that you know, the baby had the test that, you know, 90% chance of some kind of disorder that would mean that would be harder for them to, you know, exist.
Turn right.
And so it was like, you know, they ultimately decided to terminate the abortion or the pregnancy. Try again. And it's like, well, is that right, you know? And like I think about it like this, you know, like I'm all about God's way, right? Like I'm all about nature's nature. Nature should be left as nature. But you know, if I have a disorder called exostosis, right? And like if I could go back and recode my genetics, I would change that in a heartbeat. Hell, I would even make myself a little bit taller, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not that I'm like not happy with myself and how I look, but it's like if I had the chance to change something, I might. Bender says, I think when people hear the word eugenics, the lady who was literally trying to reduce African American populations come to mind. Oh yeah. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier, was that you know, when most people think eugenics, exactly what you're saying, they think of that specific, they think of specifically the race part, you know. And I can't blame them, because that was a legit thing that happened, and honestly it is a scary thought that could happen easily with the idea of eugenics. You know, people are like, oh well, you know, African Americans tend to have sickle cell anemia more, so that means we should sterilize and abort African babies, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, wait a second now. Now you might be going a little too far. Tough question. I had an aunt. Oh, okay. I had an aunt who had Down syndrome. Her mind was like 10, lived till 60. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. So, okay, so.
Time to get the job done.
And I'm curious, and I'm sure it'd be like an offensive question. But to most of these people that were born with, like, you know, disorders like, you know, congenital limb, you know, like, what's it called? Congenital amputation, where they're born without limbs, you know, or they're born blind or deaf, or, you know, with Down syndrome, you know, stuff like that. If given the chance, would they change it? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that these people should be ashamed or, like, you know, anything like that. In fact, quite the opposite. You know, like, these are strong people for surviving, you know. And we're very blessed to be in a world where people like that can survive. But it's like, given the chance, like, I mean, I haven't had any of those disorders, but I would like to think that if I did, that I had the chance to change it, that I would.
Turn right.
Let me see. Luckily, her whole life, family had money. Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that, like, you know, the resources, because it's like, well, you know, that goes into the abortion thing, you know, but I'm glad she had a good life, you know, and like I know, I mean, there's plenty of people, you know, I've heard stories, you know, of people with Down syndrome. There's one in particular where a man with Down syndrome got married to a lady who didn't have Down syndrome. I don't believe she had, you know, any kind of disorder. I believe she was an able-bodied lady, but she married this man with Down syndrome, and they had a child. The child was born, good-looking kid, and he became a dentist. You know, and I'm like, to me, that's, I mean, you don't hear about that a lot, and that's wild, but it was like, you know, a lot of these people weren't given the chance to do anything like that, you know what I mean?
Go straight on.
Bender says, big question, fix the problem? Yes, vote from me. Abort the baby? Still a no from me personally. Yeah. I'm there, I mean, 100%, you know, I'm there with you, Bender. As far as like aborting a baby, but that's a tough question, you know. That's a very tough question, because it's like, you know, if you knew that your baby had a certain chance of like struggling in life, you know, because of something like that, would you still want to raise it? Would you still want to put all those resources into it and stuff like that? And like that sounds cruel. I mean, and I guess it is. It is cruel, because that's a life. And like, I will say this, I will take a firm stance. I don't care what the situation is. I 100% believe abortion is murder, and even though I don't think it should be illegal necessarily, that it should be a choice, it's the wrong choice. Abortion should never be the choice. Brenda says, unless you could know, like, well, days into it, I'm still not satisfied with my answer. It's a tough question, man, you know, and like, these are the kind of things, again, that we need to like be thinking about, because, you know, and it is ultimately, you know, the survival of the human race in the future, you know. However, what scares me is that, like, you know, like, look at the rise of diagnoses we're getting for everything, for schizophrenia, for Tourette's, ADD, ADHD, autism. And it's like, technically, you know, if you think about it, you know, we have all these medications and stuff like that for all these disorders. That's eugenics in itself. You know, that's post-birth eugenics. You know, people are like, oh, you're a little weird, you have autism, you need this kind of special treatment, you need these pills, so that you could be like normal people. You know, and then it's like, well, they have a test now to see if your baby's likely to be autistic before it's even born. And if we're looking at people who have autism as like some kind of a disease, basically, like, so now like every baby, and what gets me too, red hair, no thanks. Right? It's like, I don't want no ginger babies. I was in the middle of a thought. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll get to it though. It'll come back. But you know, ultimately, man, it comes down to it's a tough conversation, you know. And oh, that's what I was getting at. It was like, what gets me is that there's so much of like autism, ADHD, you know, all these like coin terms being thrown around, narcissism. I'm starting to hate all of these words, all these buzzwords, because it's like I'm hearing them so much. And a lot of them aren't really grounded in anything. And like, it used to just be, instead of someone being autistic, oh, come, you fucker. Instead of someone being autistic, they were just kind of a weird guy. You know, it was a guy who like happened to be really like, he liked to be organized, and like he was in a bad mood if things weren't organized in a certain way. You know what I mean? He's just a quirky kid. But now, it's like, if you don't fit a certain mold, you have ADD, you're autistic, and you need to be treated differently. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It used to be where, like, you know, how everyone's narcissist these days, it used to be they were just an asshole and you avoided them, you know? It was like, oh, you're a dickhead, you like to gaslight me, okay.
Go straight on.
But now it's like we have to call them all kinds of names and blame them for everything, you know. And I'm like, just get away, you know. And that's another thing too. Are they gonna have tests for narcissists? Well, where's it gonna stop, you know? Bennett says, oh, I know. I wonder what I would be diagnosed with other than multiple personality disorder. You know what, Bender? I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, I'm glad that I was born when I was and kind of in a low income family and like didn't buy into all that. Didn't really even have the money to like treat any of that, even if any of it was diagnosed. But I guarantee you, I would be diagnosed with manic depressive disorder. I would be... What was the other one? Manic depressive and suicidal. I don't know if that's an actual like diagnosis, but definitely manic depressive. You know, and I know that for a fact. Like I've never been diagnosed with it for anything, but I was like, just knowing what it is, I'm like, I'm definitely a manic depressive. But like, again, they would want to get me on pills for that, and it's like it's tough. You know, it's tough the way that my brain works sometimes, but it's me, you know. It's how I do things. Like, yeah, I get very depressed, I get suicidal at times. I don't want to live anymore, you know. I don't want to do anything. Everything that I enjoy just doesn't like lift me up anymore, you know. I'm in such a bad mood, and but when I'm not like that, bro, life's so good, you know. Life's so good, and I truly believe that God made me that way because he understands that I need to be able to see the low lows to appreciate the highs, you know. It's also what's made me very good at my job, you know, being a massage therapist. It's made me highly intuitive, and like, you know, it helps me be sympathetic to people that have, you know, that other people wouldn't really understand, you know, wouldn't really be sympathetic to because they don't fully understand it. And not in a bad way, not that they're trying to be dickheads or anything, they just don't, you know. Like someone who doesn't suffer from depression can't understand what depression is, you know what I mean? Bender says, well, cut that out, bro. Call me, we'll smash something. Yeah, I hear you, man, and honestly, it does come to that too. You know, that's boxing. Again, boxing helps my depression. But yeah, kind of, you know, what I'm getting at is that, like, you know, not all that long ago, like if I was born in these days, they would have pumped me up on all kinds of pills and kept me like high, you know. But really, all I need to do is do my job well, eat right, and go boxing, you know, or go work out. That's all I got to do to fight off that depression. But yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know, that's like, I mean, I guess that's eugenics after you're born, is, you know, we're basically trying to make the same person. Like, even look at society, man. Look at the way that like men and women are like dressing and stuff, how we're blurring those lines. Brenda says, I don't think I understand depression. I get flash anger, a bit restless. That's not it. No, and I mean that sounds pretty, I mean that's pretty common, you know, like especially among men, where, you know, you get super angry for a little bit. And what was the other one? A bit restless. Yeah, same here. Like, you know, that's that whole like fight or flight thing. Like when you no, I refuse to look. All right, bet. But yeah, it's
Keep right, and then exit.
it's funny because it took me a long time before I realized that like not everyone understands what depression is. You know, it was actually Jordan Peterson talking about it, how he was talking about how his daughter suffers from depression and how he didn't understand that, and like he was like describing it, like, because he had done research, he was talking to his daughter, like, you know, he really like delved into it, and he really gathered an understanding of what living with depression is like. And when he was describing it, and I was like, fuck, he's right, man. It's just like that. And that really opened up my eyes to to the fact that like people don't understand, you know. It's just like, I mean, it would suck for me to lose my eyesight. Like, you know, I know that it would suck for me to lose my eyesight, but I don't know what it's truly like to be blind. You know what I mean? It would suck to be an amputee. I know that, but I have no idea what it's truly like to live without an arm. You know. So I can sympathize. I can't really empathize. Now, me on you know, I don't like to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm a pretty intuitive guy, and like I'm pretty understanding. I'm pretty open-minded. You know, I'm not a confrontational guy, and I like to let people just be who they are. You know, even if I disagree with. I get a lot of people on my table, actually a lot of people on my table who like differ from me politically, right? And they'll talk to me like, you know, or like how one lady that I work with, she, you know, they talk about how their job at King Supers is so hard and it's so hard on their body and stuff, you know, and I'm like, here I am, I work 8 hours a day, you know, like doing pretty physical stuff, you know, I've been to Iraq, I've done all kinds of physical stuff, and here they are, you know, they stock shelves at King Supers, and I'm like, okay, you know, that, and it used to get me mad, and still, I mean, in a way it does. But I've learned to pull that back and just kind of be more empathetic, be more understanding, you know. Be like, all right, you know, this is their reality, this is how they feel, so I can't judge them for it. And really, when it comes down to it, you know, everyone has different trauma. 7 was going on. Greetings, shalom, Mr. M and Bender. No way, love them weird people like me. Sad. No rain, man. No way. No Bubba Gump who saved LT Dan. How you save poor Simple Jack from Flaming Dragon. And I'm here like stream and enjoy while working and lurking. Hell yeah. Welcome, 7. Thank you so much for your words. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Like no Bubba Gumps. No, I mean, you know, if we start, and kind of like what I was saying before I went on that last rant, was that if you look at the way things are happening, they're trying to make everyone into the same person. Like if things keep going the way they are, we're all gonna be like hairless orange people that speak the same language. You know, we're gonna be a highly advanced race of very boring people. We're all gonna look the same. We're all gonna act the same. And like I was saying, look around. Like, you know, I was even looking at like just ladies. Like, look at the way that ladies are dressing and like how they're doing their makeup and stuff like that. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this whole like snuffleupagus eyelash thing going on, and I'm like, what the hell is? I mean, I get trends. I get trends, right? I'm not an idiot. I'm not new to this world. Like, I get the trends thing. But like, why is everyone trying to look the same? All right, Frederick, that's the second time you ain't find no job. You know, find yourself jobs. You know, and then like you start looking at men now, and how they're starting to, like, more and more men is trying to look like women now. Remember Duckface from a few years ago? OMG, yeah, that's stupid.
At the roundabout, take the first exit.
It was dumb, but you know something interesting I heard
Exit now.
was that, like, you know, trend setting and stuff like that isn't anything new. It's not like a Western society thing. They were like, you know, if you go to tribes who've never even, they don't know anything about the West, they still have their hierarchies. Like, for example, like if you go to some tribe and one of the popular, you know, the most beautiful lady, she starts wearing like shells in her hair, pretty soon all the other ladies are going to start putting shells in their hair, you know. So that's just more, that's a human thing. But the pursed lips selfie, oh yeah, I mean, and it's all the same, bro. Like if you look at these, you know, a lot of ladies that are on Instagram and Facebook, they put up a lot of the same picture of them in the mirror with them, you know, turned halfway around so you can see the shape of their ass. They're sticking their asses out with the puffed up lips. You know, those damn eyelashes, those stupid fucking eyelashes, bro. Like, I don't know any dude that looks at a lady with those fucking eyelashes and like they're like, oh yeah, or looks at a lady and she was like, you know what? She would look badass with fat ass eyelashes. Like, that's how I want my lady. I wanted her to start floating away when she blinks too fast. You know? I'm just like, come the fuck, ladies, if you're watching, please stop. Please stop. We don't like the eyelashes. We don't like the glued on hair. We don't like the fake hair. The pointy quarters. Yeah, right? Yeah, like all that shit. I will admit, I like the Egyptian eye. Okay, like when ladies do the thick eyeliner, and then they pull it back into in the corner. I kind of like that cat eye looking thing. I'm like, that's kind of sexy. But like minimum, man, like minimum stuff, you know. God, man, every time I see these ladies with these new eyelashes, and what's funny is that, so I heard that these big eyelashes started in the prostitution ring. They're called cumbrellas, and they were designed so that the ladies didn't get semen in their eyes after like dudes did their business on their face. Look it up. It's a fact. It's like spoilers. I guess I'm out of it. She said it's like spoilers. It's like spoilers, right? Spoilers are useless and they look stupid. Like very rarely, unless like you have like a drifting car or something like that that was built for that kind of thing. Spoilers almost always look. It's like a spoiler on a pickup truck, right? Like, come on, bro. My bud had a girlfriend with fake hair for 15 years. Yeah, see, I don't dig it, man. Like I see it so many times, like especially when I'm working, you know, because like when I'm working, like I said, I work with a lot of ladies, and I love to do scalp and neck work. I love scalp, face, neck, you know, I love that kind of stuff. I don't know, it just really helps me like feel connected with my clients, right? But all the time, man, more often than not, I put my fingers in their hair and I'm like, oh, there's clips in here from extensions, you know, and I'm like, come on, man, like, it's just, they're all fake. They're all fake. They work for over 120 miles an hour. We called it the Nugget. Her hair. But he loved it. Hey, you know what? I mean, if you're gonna do it big, and like, you know, there's something for everybody, you know, and like there's always those exceptions where, you know, you do like dudes who like ladies that look like Barbie dolls. There was, for example, I think it was on My Strange Addictions, this chick who was addicted to having like a tiny waist. And I don't remember how small she got her waist, but she kept using corsets and waist trainers and stuff like that. And got her rib cage and stuff like that to a ridiculous, I mean, like you could literally put your hands around and touch your fingers, you know, around her rib cage, like not even just her waist but her rib cage. And you know, she looked ridiculous, she looked stupid, but she did it safely apparently. She went to the doctors, she got checked up all the time, and apparently it was the way she was like being shaped by it was safe because all the organs were shifting safely. So it was like, all right, well, you know, if you want to keep doing this. And she had a husband who, you know, kind of like your buddy, who absolutely loved it. He was so attracted by it, you know. But I mean, there's something for everyone out there. Like, you know, I mean, Lizzo right now is considered, you know, a thing of beauty, right? Not to me and not to most men, but I guarantee you there's a small percentage out there be like, oh yeah, I would eat cake off of her behind, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see her and I'm repulsed. I'm like, huh, bleh. But, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But there is a general standard, you know. There is like a, generally speaking, you know, there's a certain standard that like is considered to be hot. And it's not even a societal thing, you know, it really isn't. It goes back down to the eugenics thing, you know. It goes back down to what people are attracted to based off of survival. There's certain traits that are just naturally attractive because it equates to survival. But you know, you always have those outliers. You always have your fetishists and stuff like that. They're gonna be there. Seven says, why do most Western women hate men, call them dusty lovers, you have no six pack, 6 feet, especially no six figures, and money. Right. Why highest body count contest why belittling, vulgar words, and dehumanizing treatment of men. I mean, that's a huge topic there, and definitely something that I'm gonna be coming back to, Seven. I think that's gonna be more the basis of my content, more than anything, is gonna be that kind of stuff between like men and women. Let me pause this real quick. Bender says, "Yeah, Abba, I never participated in that. Thank God. I had plenty of fun though." Let me see. It's a trap. Let me read that again. 7. Why do most Western women hate men, call them dusty lovers? You have no six pack, 6 feet, especially six figures in money. Why highest body count contests while belittling vulgar words and dehumanizing treatment of men? You know, it all comes down to, and like really, when it all comes down to, what I believe is the elites. You know, it's that say, hey, the pie, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, 7, it kind of comes down to the elites and those few people that control even the government, you know what I mean? Like, really, if you want to break up a society, you break up the household, right? And in order to do that, you have to get rid of men. Because, I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. The powers that be are afraid of strong men. They're very afraid of strong men. They're afraid of what groups of strong men can do. So what they did was they started going in. They started, you know, basically convincing ladies that men were trash, that they couldn't do. And don't get me wrong, you know, a lot of men didn't help, you know, especially because you know, there's a certain few men that get a lot of the attention, that get most of the attention, and they tend to be, you know, men who get a lot of attention tend to explore their options, you know. So they tend to be less faithful. They tend to, like, you know, sleep around and stuff like that. So that put a bad taste in ladies' mouth. How, you know, there was so many ladies that, you know, the dad didn't want to be around and yada yada yada. Then the government used that, or, you know, whoever the powers that be started using that and saying, hey, you know, men aren't shit. You don't need them. You can live on your own, and we'll help you. You know, the government assistance, and, you know, just get the guy out of there. As long as you don't have a man making money, you can have this child support and get government assistance. So ladies, being bitter at men, started doing that, started pushing the men out of the household. Then, you know, they started raising men. They started raising boys, and I'm gonna die on this hill. But when women cannot raise men, absolutely not. Women cannot raise a good, strong man, because women have a certain idea of what masculinity is, but they have no idea what masculinity is, if you know what I mean. That's why so many men are so angry these days. They have to beat their chest. They have to prove themselves as men, because they were never taught by men, by real men, how it is that you are a man, you know, how you're supposed to be a man. Right? So then, you know, got these bitter, angry ladies that, and not only that, but then we also got to a point where you can't hold women accountable for anything. You know, like, look at, we're going back to the abortion thing right now. Right now, we're circling back. Can that be fixed? Possibly, Bender, and I'll get to that when I'm done with this point right here. But you know, we have so many forms of contraceptive. You know, we have condoms, we have female condoms, they have pills, they have sprays, the morning after pills, you know, all kinds of stuff. And yet we're still fighting for the idea that abortion needs to be legal, so that women can basically, and it's not, you know, they push the argument where it's like, okay, well, what about these ladies that get raped and yada yada yada, and it's like, okay, you know, that's one thing, but generally speaking, the ladies who do get abortions have had more than one. That's one thing. And for another thing, you know, they're using it like a form of birth control, as opposed to like keeping your legs closed. You know what I'm saying? So then, to the whole accountability thing, like, you can have, there's some rapper out there, something like that, who has kids with 9 different ladies, right? 9 different ladies allowed this man inside of them, allowed them to impregnate him, give them their seed, gave birth to these babies. And yet for some reason, everyone calls this man a piece of shit, deadbeat dad. He's the one, and it's like, I can understand the first lady, maybe the second lady, but once you're that third lady looking back and seeing that he has these babies already, wouldn't you be like, he's playing, you know what I'm saying? And then like, forget the third one, how about the sixth or the seventh, the eighth? It's like, this guy has 8 kids with 8 different ladies. I'm still gonna sleep with him and have his baby, and then I'm gonna complain that he's not around and he's doing the same thing with me and my babies that he did with, and it's like, where the fuck are these ladies, like, and then you try to hold them accountable, and then we're the bad guys. Because it's like, well, you should have kept your leg closed. Well, you slut shaming me, yada, yada, yada. He's a piece of shit, nyah, 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 nyah. It's brutal. It's brutal. All right, I need to pause this again to read. Bender says, can that be fixed? You know what? It can be fixed. We just have to... It's an uphill battle, my friend. It is a serious uphill battle. And it's hard because people like, I'm not going to say me, but people bringing up these kind of conversations are being blocked on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, and we're being demonized. But it can happen. We just got to put faith in God. We got to keep talking about it. We can't allow them to silence us and be like, look, if we want society to be a better place, we need to start learning to work together again, We need to start teaching men how to be men. We need to start teaching women how to be wives, how to be caretakers. How to take care of their men, and then teach men how to take care of the household. Like, it's just, is that simple? But we've gotten to a point where it's so far gone that it's going to be nearly impossible to change the societal fabric, But we have to try. We have to try. All right, the pie says, depends on the woman, I think, but there's definitely a slant when looking at the numbers of raised weak men from single parents versus regular family, and the dad versus mom single parents. Yeah, Pi, and I've mentioned this too. The studies are now starting to come out that basically, to put it quick, babies or children that come from families and single parent households have the same percentage chance of being incarcerated. However, that number significantly rises when they're raised in a single mother household. And like, you got to think too, because there's also single mothers that have men around, like, grandfathers and stuff like that, yada yada. So there's always the exceptions, but the exception isn't the rule, And the rule right now says that, like, I believe it's something like 70 or 80% of people that are incarcerated, men that are incarcerated, come from single mother households. So that says something. That really does. Bender says, are using other methods? I agree. Hollywood, meh. Jordan Peterson has it right on so many things. Oh yeah, identity politics, 100%. 100% he does. He's another one that's being demonized right now. Like, look at it. It's funny because all these people that are, I don't know how it's gotten to this point where the people who are speaking nonsense have so much power to silence the people that are speaking sense. And again, it's because, it's controlled that way because the elites, they know that if people who made sense were getting out there, that it's going to cause problems. Like, look at the whole Andrew Tate thing. Okay, I don't care what your opinion of Andrew Tate is. Me personally, I think he's a douchebag, but like, I truly believe that he hasn't done anything wrong. And not only that, but like, his victims, quote unquote, the ladies that he had that he was holding against their will, quote unquote, have been coming out and saying they're wrong. Like, he's never done, like, it was completely our choice. And they're being called wrong. They're being chastised, and their videos are being blocked. So it's like, we're at war, y'all. Don't get it twisted. We are at war right now. It may. Ooh, this is pretty. Where are we at? I like this. Oh, it's Vegas. Oh, this is Luxor. Very nice. But yeah, we don't get it twisted. Like, we are at war. Let me see. 7 says, yes, Chads, Tyrones, Miguels, and Chow Young Fats. They exercise options, but women can't recognize good men. When men choose the lady, and they are not the option, women is the choice. Still, women say loser. No 6-packs, no 6 foot, no 6 figures. Sad. Opsy Chain, Mr. Marauder. Yeah, what's going on, Opsy? I did a brand change. I saw Jesus, so I changed my name. We're changing up the content. We're getting a lot more serious. But how you doing, my friend? Welcome back to the stream. The Pie says there's a lot of morality missing, I think, in parenting. If a parent instills positive morals, then it falls to the child to utilize it. Sure, plenty of additional factors that play in, but in general. Then the Pie says, yep, Mr. M with a new name. Yep, still technically Mr. M. But yeah, so to go touch on what you said, Seven, yeah, and unfortunately, that's been like the content that I've been kind of stuck on right now, is like watching these just like these ladies, these ridiculous ladies, and it seems like it's a lot of them. It seems like a lot of them feel this way, but it's like, it's hard to blame ladies when that's what they're fed from, like basically the day that they're born. You know, they're like, you don't need a man, be strong and independent. And not only that, but like we're attacking feminism. You know, we're attacking ladies who want to be housewives and good mothers. You know, so like you also got to think about that, Seven, is that like maybe some of these ladies want to be more like that, but they're afraid of like, you know, what their friends are gonna think. They're afraid of being, you know, shunned. It's kind of reversed, you know, because it used to be that ladies were afraid of being seen as sluts because they would be shunned and like, you know, shamed, and they would be kicked out of their families and stuff like that. But now somehow we've got it flipped to where it's like the more of a hoe you are, the more quote unquote value you have. But it's starting to be, you know, it's starting to be proven that that's not true. There's so many of these ladies, so many of these thoughts, these hoes, these scumbags, these sleazeballs, these ladies of the nights that are making it to, you know, age 30, 35, 36, when basically all of their eggs are dry. They can't have babies anymore. Not only that, but they have so much baggage. They become so masculine because they've had to do what men do. And now they're like, oh, well, this isn't what I want. I want a man to take care of me. I want a family. And it's like, men are starting to realize that, like, that's a raw deal, you know? It's a raw deal. Super raw deal. So it's really sad. Like, that's the sad part right there, Seven. Like, it is sad how much ladies overlook good men and stuff like that. That's very sad. But really, when it comes down to it, I do believe that a lot more men need to be manly, need to be men. And a lot of those problems will be fixed. However, what I find really sad is how many ladies and men really that are going to be going into their older ages lonely and childless. Now, for men, we're okay with that. We're men. The moment that we become men, that we hit that 16, 17, 18-year-old, no one gives a fuck about us until we give them a reason to give a fuck about us. So men are used to being lonely. We're used to, you know, doing stuff on our own and just doing what we need to make us happy. Look, I mean, that's why so many dudes live by themselves in like little studio apartments playing video games, and they're perfectly content. However, it's been proven more and more times, you know, more often than not, that that's not the case for ladies. Even ladies who make a shit ton of money, and in fact, ladies who make more money tend to be more unhappy, because the more money they make, the less options they have for men. Even the simps, because ladies, generally speaking, want men that make more money than them. And then they get to this age, you know, this 35, 40 years old, and they start to realize, you know, that's when they're like, oh, well, I'm lonely, I want kids. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, too late, you know. Hang on, I gotta scroll up a little bit. Ooh, look at that. There's a huge portion of this country and others that will not remain silent while their children's futures are ruined in the name of what? Jackassery, self-involved narcissists. It's coming, rejection, and revolution. Yeah, Bender, I've been saying that for a while. I was like, people like us, we've been the silent majority the silent majority for too long. For far too long, and it's gonna happen, you know. It's starting. I'm feeling it now. Like, it's getting to a point where we're getting tired of it, you know. We don't want to deal with this shit. We don't want to have all this shit shoved down our throats all the time. And I'm gonna be right there at the front too. Be like, oh yeah, 100%. I'm fighting this war. The Pie says, yeah, they were fed the lies, and then they had the fake image boost of things like the thoughts on Twitch and OnlyFans about being this is good. But what mattered didn't really change, and now they see it. Yeah, and unfortunately, when ladies see it, it tends to be too late. When men see it, men are like, okay, you know, we're now at a point in our life where we can start making something of ourselves. You know, once men hit that like 25, 30-year-old mark, we're like, oh, okay, this is what life is, you know. But when ladies hit that point, they call it the wall for a reason. And like ladies hate this term. They hate when you say that kind of stuff. It's the reason why ladies hate the fact that men love younger women, and like they even go the absolutely disgusting route of saying men are pedophiles because we want young women. I'll admit, I like whenever I see a woman out and about, I'm like, it's always right around 22, 23, 24 that I'm like, damn, like I want her, you know, like that's the one that I want. She's beautiful, she's young, and like I was always made to feel like shit because of that. Even by, you know, by guy friends that I have. They're like, oh yeah, you shouldn't date anyone younger than 10 years, yada yada yada. But like I'm looking at it and I'm like, nah man, it's nature. It's, you know, whatever the opposite turn of hypergamy is, that's basically a male's version of hypergamy. It's finding a young, fit lady. You know, it has nothing to do with her being a kid, you know, and that's disgusting, bro. Like that really pisses me off. I hear that so many times from ladies. I've even been accused of it myself because I said that I like much younger ladies who don't have kids. They're like, oh well, you must be a pedophile. You like them young and hairless and influenceable. And I'm like, first of all, yeah, I like them to be young and undamaged and influenceable because men as leaders, we like to lead. Right? So it's like, how can we lead a boss babe who's already done everything, already made her bag, already traveled everywhere, already done this and that, already has her waist set? Not only that, but she's a man. You know, she's a man in a woman's body. Let me catch up on these chats here. 7 says, now the Western entitled women that hate men, that treat them like garbage, that say they don't want them, get so furiously angry when they reject men, leave to find somewhere else the passport bros. Oh yeah, I've been thinking about the passport thing myself lately too, honestly. Like I'm seeing a lot of these Western women, I'm like, bro, like it's exhausting, you know? It makes me want to leave. Makes me want to go somewhere else. And you know, again, you would think that the whole passport thing, bros thing, that the whole like, you know, MG toe thing, you would think that women would want that because that's what they've been preaching. They've been preaching, oh, I don't need a man, leave us alone, treat us like equals, yada yada yada. But then we do that shit. We treat them like equals. We don't ask them out. We don't approach them. We don't take them out on dates. We don't even want to date them anymore. We treat them like men. We start ignoring them. Then they get mad. You know, so I mean that just goes to show, first of all, that women never know what the fuck they want. And honestly, when you give them what they want, they don't want it. And those dudes that treat them like trash, yeah, and 7, that's what they want, man. They want the dudes that treat them like trash. I don't know where it became the dudes that treat women like trash were the ones that got the attention. You know, and then they're so quick to go out to the other men, you know, the quote unquote nice guys like myself, and complain about those guys, about how all men are trash, all men are this, all men are that, all men need to die because they're yada yada yada. And then 2 seconds later, they turn around, they go on a Facebook, and then they're with one of those guys that treats them like shit. Or maybe they're not treating them shit like now, but they know that they're going to smash and leave, and the whole cycle's going to start over again. That's what's sad. That's what's really sad. The Pie says, starting to come back to that, and they are fighting hard to get that back. Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, Pie. Bender says, LOL, Abby, good point. My friend's wife is from the Philippines, and she is great. Yeah, Bender, like I said, that's been a thing. And actually, like, passport bros is getting ladies triggered. That term, just like dudes doing that in general. And, like, you know, these ladies, these Western ladies are starting to hate on the Eastern ladies that are more feminine and more, like, you know, how ladies should be. Really, how God intended women to be. That are more feminine, more submissive, more friendly. And a lot of them are in these Eastern countries, these Asian countries, these Latin countries. And like I said, ladies are getting mad about it. But, you know, tough titties, this is what you wanted, you know. Like I said, you're getting exactly what you asked for. Men are leaving you alone. You're getting your money. We ain't got to worry about shit. Bender says, 10 years, LOL. My uncle was 70, married a 30-year-old. Had 1 kid, year, so happy. Yeah, wait. Had a kid in 1 year, so happy. Yeah, see? And I mean, it could work just like that. And that proves it, man. Fellas, for us, it's never over. It's never over. And that's the benefit of being a man, is that we can build ourselves and we can get knocked down and we can build ourselves back up, knock down, build ourselves back up again. Unfortunately, women don't have that chance. Women have that like 10 to 15 year grace period where they need to figure it out. And you tell them that and they want to get mad. And it's funny because we're telling them that. Men are straight up telling you, look, this is what we want you to do. You don't have much time. And like they're like, well, shut up, you don't know anything. It's like, all right, okay. Well, you keep thinking like that. I'm gonna save up my money and go to Vietnam, find me a beautiful little young Vietnamese lady who's out on a market, like, you know, selling fruits, and her family has to, like, I don't know, milk goats for a living or something. They would love me. They would love me. They would throw their daughters at me. Are you kidding me? Bender says, exhausting, LOL, good one. The Pie says, Bender, the thing about that is it makes sense. He has probably everything she actually wants. Safety, maturity, etc. Yeah. Yeah, not only that, but like, realistically, think about it. She's only 30. He's 70. He's going to die in like 10, you know, by the time he dies, she'll be 45, 50. She'll still be young, be able to inherit all that money. I mean, she'll, you know, she'll have a good life. She'll have a good life with him, and she'll have a good life after him. And that's what ladies need to start getting back to, finding these men that can give them that good life. Not the boss babe, you know, yacht life, the bag, the Louis, all that shit, the Chanels. No, like a good, solid, steady life. Like, hey, I can feed you. I can take care of our kids. I can keep you protected. You know, that kind of life. BRB, need a beer? You go get yourself a beer. Bender says, yes, the Pie. He was a super fun guy. I laughed a lot when I found out. I mean, shit, I can see myself doing that too. Finding me some young 30-year-old Filipino girl, bring her over here. Seven says, then women who date younger men are pedophiles too. Yep. Cher pedo, the Madonna pedo, also Miranda Kerr pedo, etc. Oh yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of older ladies that are into younger guys, and the Pie agrees. Foolish rules for not for me mentality. Oh yeah, and that's how it is with ladies. You know, again, they can't be held accountable for anything. And like what's funny too is that these ladies hold it over, like, you know, they get these young guys as if like it's a thing to be proud of. But it's not, because anybody looks at that and they see an old lady get with a young guy. We know that she's desperate. We know that she probably has money, and we know that he's only in it to smash, you know. And it's like, you know, like I see an older lady with a younger dude and I laugh, you know, and I know most people do. It's like, you're ridiculous, lady, you know, that's not gonna last. And here's the thing, men who can get younger ladies, we're actually praised by other men. And really, that's what we need to start focusing on, fellas, is not what the ladies are saying, but what the other fellas are saying. Because I know if I went out there, what would y'all say if I went out there and I was like, hey man, I bagged me a 22-year-old, right? Like I went up to the counter, I went up to this barista and I was like, hey girl, let's go, you know, you and me. Like people would be cheering me on, all my boyfriends, you know, my boyfriends. Oh, let me not go there. all my fellas, you know, all my boys. They were like, hell yeah, bro, get it. And the thing is, that'd be the one that I'd want to marry, because I would get just as much, you know, praise for like bagging an older lady. But if I married her, they would give me all kinds of shit. Oh my god. That's why men don't marry hoes. That's why men don't marry hoes, because you marry a hoe, all your boys are gonna laugh at you. See, and this again, this is why men need to like start coming together again and start being men, because we keep each other in check. It's like, you know, that there's always that one dude in the gangbang who wants to marry, who falls in love with the stripper, wants to marry her, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's up to us to be like, bro, for real, like we all had that.
Keep right.
You're gonna get it. It's like, all right, well, she's never gonna be yours. She's never gonna be yours. Bender says, well, yes, we would, but you are not a jerk. Fair enough. Fair enough. The Pie says, most happy people are those who have those basic needs met, and those tend to be family, safety, and those basic things. Family, safety, food, yeah, shelter. You know, really, if you think about it, if you have a roof over your head, if you're not hungry, if you have running water, like you're doing better than most people in the world. And like when I say, I mean like 75 to 80% of people in the world you have it better than. And also, man, if you go to these third world countries, you know, or these like, you know, more eastern countries where they have less, you'll notice that the people are far happier, they're far friendlier than like anybody in the States, myself included. You know, I can be kind of a jerk. I can be a dick. Yeah, shut up, truck. I can be a dick, you know. I will admit that wholeheartedly. Try to be a nice guy, try not to. Bender says, and would be unlikely to hurt her, so live and let live. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. P.S. I'm liking your new Real Talk format. Thank you, Bender. Thank you. I'm really digging it too. And it's like, it's taken off in a way that I didn't expect. But I'm feeling it, you know, and like I've been really putting it out there. I've really been talking to God. He even said it today, you know, because I was thinking about like, you know, the whole Christian thing, about how, you know, because I was thinking about the abortion and eugenics and stuff like that, and I was like, unfortunately, because I'm a more pragmatic Christian, I need to look up that word, what it means exactly, pragmatic. But even though I'm a more pragmatic Christian, you know, I'm more of a worldly Christian, I guess, that like I could think of things not in biblical terms, you know, not in terms of the scripture. And I think that's important, you know, because it's easy to have this conversation and talk about abortion, say, for example, and be like, well, it's a sin, God hates it, so it's wrong, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, it goes a lot deeper than that, you know, because even people who don't believe in God, who don't believe in Jesus, who don't believe that, like, in sins and yada, 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 there's people out there who also believe that you shouldn't be aborting babies, you know what I mean? So, like, you can't alienate them. And so I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know, compare myself to Maverick a lot. You know, he's my cousin. I look up to him and stuff like that. But I'm like, I can't do the kind of content that he does because I'm just not that convicted. You know, I'm not like, I don't feel like it's my purpose in life to spread the word of God. It's my purpose to tell people about the word of God, about to tell them about God's love and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily my word to preach to them. You know, I'll tell them about it and send them to other places where they can get a better understanding of it. Someone who's more, but that's not my calling. Seven says, I don't care about what the stupid white knights say. White knights just talk like that so they can have access to her too. White knight scammers. Oh yeah, and honestly, those are the guys, and like I'm saying this from experience because I was a white knight. I was a white knight simp. That's what I was raised to be. And ladies, like, it's not the dude, it's not the you know, quote unquote toxic masculinity dude that you need to worry about. It's not the one that puts you in your place, that tells you what you need to hear. It's those white knight dudes, the ones that are behind you and like, oh yes, babe, you're a queen. If any man calls you a queen like that, you need to run, because those guys are scumbags. You know, they're telling you all the shit, like the Steve Harveys. You know, it's like, oh yeah, babe, you're the prize. Don't put up with shit. Be like, no, man, these are feminized men who are telling you all the things that you want to hear, and they're just sticking around for that off chance that maybe you'll have a weak moment, or you'll hit that wall and then you'll realize, hey, damn, it's over for me. Maybe I will settle with this guy. Those are the guys. Those are slime bags. Those are the ones that you need to be watching out for, ladies. Those white knights, the ones that are come to your defense for any reason. You know, the ones that'll pay all your bills for nothing. Beep, 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 beep. Bender says pragmatic is rooted in reality. Okay, yeah, so I am using the word correct. I knew I was using it correctly. I just didn't know what the term was. And, you know, not saying that, like, God and the Bible and stuff like that isn't reality, but it's not Earth. You know, it's not us here right now. I mean, I guess it is, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. We're talking about society as a whole. The Pie says, you are very right, Abba. The whole white knight thing is more often trying to get into the club for reasons. There are also died in the... Wait, they're also... Hang on. Died in the wool believers who sadly just blurt whatever trend is out. Yeah, absolutely. And some of them are trolls, just doing it for claps and dopamine hits. Yeah, and there's always that too, you know, and the trolls get a lot of attention. You know, people get real heated about this kind of stuff. Bender says, "We are the most interesting content creator I know. More power to you." Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot, man. It really does. You know, I try to be, and I know I'm like up to date with all the terms and all the, you know, the methods, the editing methods and stuff like that. But, you know, really, I'm just here to spread the message. You know, I'm just here to say, hey, we can all work together. We can make this world a better place. We have the technology, just like the $1 Million Man. We can do this. I'm very honored. Thank you again, Bender. That means a lot. The Pie says, they are either feminized men or predators. Sometimes just people using you for their own goals. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And granted, okay, so there are those that, like, they think they're doing the right thing. You know, they're not necessarily doing it because they think they're feminized men or because they think they're predators, but they really are. And I'm saying this from experience because it was just like not even all that long ago that I was doing that. That I was just hanging around a lady and, like, you know, doing the white knight thing, paying for her for meals, hanging out with her, letting her like complain to guys about me, you know, just kind of waiting for the day that she would be like, all right, let's do this. You know, and then since I've been doing this study on like what it means to be a man and all this other stuff, I'm like, you know what, man, it's wrong. I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have been me. And if you guys are hearing this, if that's you, if you're a white knight, if you're one of these guys, if you're a simp, stop it. Stop it. Because, was that the Pie that said it? Like the Pie said it, you're either feminized or you're a predator, whether you know it or not. You know, like I said, I was raised to be that way. And again, I was raised by a single mother who was she was a feminazi, right? And like, even though she didn't allow me to do anything feminine, so I wasn't allowed to play with dolls or anything like that with my sisters and all that stuff, I was also like shunned. Like all the manly stuff that I did, all the naturally like male stuff, was shunned, and I was always told that I was wrong, and because I was a man, I was what was wrong with the world, and yada yada yada, you know. And I was raised to be like, yeah, you know, and even my dad, because again, my dad was raised by a single mother, so he has, you know, he didn't know either. But I was raised happy wife, happy life, you know, and that's really not the case. That's really not the case. You know, fellas, I mean, honestly, you have to do what you know you need to do in order to take care of the family. And that's how you keep the woman around. That's how it's supposed to keep the woman around. The problem is that we've gotten to a place where that's considered boring, the quote-unquote safe guy. Because that's me. I'm the safe guy. I'm the guy, like, and it helps with my career. Women love to be around me. They just love having me around just because they feel safe around me. And even now that I'm like, you know, not like, I try not to be one of their girls because I was one of the girls for a long time, if you know what I mean. And now I'm like actively like staying away from the ladies and trying not to hang out with them and all this stuff. And even then, like, you know, they like to be around me because I'm the quote-unquote safe guy. But the safe guy isn't the ladies, man, you know? But I would rather be the safe guy than the douchebag when it all comes down to it, you know? Bender says, I have chased a girl too hard, too much, but... Oh, shut up. But I ultimatumed out before I got too simp or white knight. Did I just invent a term? I ultimatumed out. I like it. We're going to start using it. Let's do it. The Pie says, LOL, Bender? Maybe. Let's coin it right now. Bender created the ultimatumed out. I have a bunch of close female friends. Don't sleep with all of them. You mean you don't sleep with any of them? You don't sleep with all of them. See, and that's the thing too, is that I've started learning, you know, once I started becoming like, you know, more manly and stuff like that, more into my masculine, I started realizing just how pointless female friends are. And that's gonna suck for most of y'all to hear. Like, I mean, I have female friends, I have acquaintances and stuff like that, but I keep them at arm's length, you know. And it's always like one of them wants more than the other one does. It's always that way. Like the female friends that I have right now are ladies who want me, and I don't necessarily want them. I mean, not necessarily, I don't want them at all. And I've told them that, and they know straight up. Some of these ladies I still I sleep with, like we'll still like mess around, even though I'm honest with them, but like they still like being around me, so we do that. I tell them straight up, be like, look, you're not someone I could take serious, but like if you want to do something casual, let's do it. But I guess it really comes down to like what you're getting out of the friendship, because like when it comes down to it, like ladies get from male friends what they get from a boyfriend, so it's like having a boyfriend light without having to put out any effort, But when dudes have a female friend, it's like, I've had, and this is coming from a guy who's had a lot of female friends. I'm like, they really don't bring much, They kind of don't. Like, I used to think that would be a different perspective or something like that, but I'm like, no. Again, even your female friends, they think like females, And that's really all it's gonna come down to. The pie says, yeah, the happy wife, happy life is more supposed to be remember the family and participate in the family. At least in my opinion, the 50s had a lot of men work way too much. Yeah, and actually, it should be happy spouse, happy house. And I don't know if the 50s had men working too much. I really do feel like men need to work a lot. Like we really do. Too much, probably. 50, 60 hours a week, that's a lot of time, especially if you're not making much money. If you're making a lot of money, it's different. I don't know. There's that balance between it. I don't know exactly what kind of a parent I'm going to be, if I'm going to be more involved, if I'm going to be more hands-off and working a lot more and stuff, but we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out as I go. I'll know what's right, and God will tell me when I have my child. He'll tell me how much time I have to spend working, how much time I have to spend with the family, and you just got to trust him, The pie says he doesn't sleep with all of them at the same time. He got a schedule. Ooh, okay, Bender. I got you. You got that rotation, huh? No, I don't sleep with them all at the same time. You see, Monday, Susan comes over. And then Tuesday, I got Patty. I go to Patty's place, though. Patty's got a nice place. And then Wednesday comes around, it's Veronica. Now, see, Veronica, she's cool. She lives out of her van, so, it's easy to, like, just go somewhere and be all platonic with her. By the time Thursday comes around, I'm kind of tired Thursday. So Thursday's rest day Thursday. But then Friday... pro rotation, LOL. Bender says... The one that got away, the one I wish got away, the one I never knew liked me that much. Oh, damn. Fair enough. Yeah, so see, and even your female friends, they all have a deeper connection than just being friends, right? Like, maybe it didn't start off, maybe you're friends now, but it didn't start off as friends, right? Just point it out there. LOL, sure, Bender. Monday is one of the blondes. Tuesdays, which athletic girl? LOL. Seven says the pie sounds like the Spice Girls. Hey man, like back in the day, yeah, I would have won a couple rounds with the Spice Girls. I definitely would have cooked something up. Oh my God, you got one name right, Susan. Well, to be fair, that's a pretty common name. So. The pie says Wednesday is Power Day after all. It's Hump Day. Bender puts in work. Yeah, Wednesday is actually double down Wednesdays. Double down Hump Day. It's a good life. That would be a good life.
Get ready to turn left.
And you know what, man? Honestly, if more dudes had that kind of stuff, it would be the world. The world would be a better place. Men would be much happier. Men are much happier when they have access to women. And I'm like, man, I don't need much. Handful of ladies, 1 or 2, 3
Turn left.
at a time. No, and it's funny, man, because it's true. Like men, I mean, we're so sexually driven, we're so sexually driven that like a lot of us kind of do need more than one lady. Like we can handle it. I can definitely handle several. And like I'm really starting to see like when it comes to those like really like high class dudes, like the high value dudes that have the real like high value ladies, they understand that. And most of them are like, you run around, you do whatever. They have a rule. They were like, as long as you don't come home with a disease or a baby, you do whatever you please. As long as you're taking care of the household, you're covering the bills, don't come home with a disease or babies. And it's a double standard, it really is. But, you know, if you think about it,
And then exit right.
like people get so mad when they're like, you know, because I look at a dude who slept with a lot of women.
Exit.
He's considered a stud, right? Like he's considered high quality. Women don't want men that other women don't want, if that makes sense. You know, that's why women all go for the same man, because they're like, oh, other women want him. That's why. Have you guys ever noticed that when you're not in a relationship, it's Deadsville, it's no man's land. You can't get a date to save your life. But then all of a sudden, you get a girlfriend, and then it's like the ladies are coming out of the woodworks, right? And that's because it's true. It's because ladies want the men that all the other ladies want, right? And men are a lot less picky. Even though men want the highest class lady that they can get, they want the prettiest lady they can get. They're not quite as picky, you know, because they understand that it's a lot easier for ladies, a lot more difficult for men to have that kind of access. So, you know, there's just that whole hypergamy thing again, you know, and I'm kind of talking in circles here. I think forgot my point. What my point was there, but the Pi says, well, I'm not sure on hows and the whys, but we can knock them up often, and they are sorted down and out for the next year. And that's exactly the hows and whys right there. It's because, well, we're built differently biologically. The Pi says, so the animality of the 1 buck and 5 deers makes sense.
Ready.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's been. That's how it's always been. It's the strongest men get the most women. The strongest men get to breed. And it's like women don't necessarily have to be strong. They just have to be, well, picky. Oh yeah, that's a good word. Picky. One of those speed dates. The man said okay 4 out of 5 of the girls. The lady said okay to 1 out of the 5. Yep. Yeah, that's how it is. Does technically, I guess. Brain fart there. Oh yeah, gotcha. Brain fart. Yeah, I mean sometimes you just have to say it out loud, Pi, to get the true understanding of it. Because, you know, like I said, it's if you think about it like a village, right? So there's a village, there's a medieval village, and this village is constantly being raided, right? Like they have shitty defenses, they don't put up walls, they don't have guards and stuff like that. So the invaders are constantly coming in, trampling over, you know, all the land, picking up the potatoes and shit like that. Like who's gonna want that village? You know what I'm saying? Men like to use cars, for example. That's why, and women hate it. Women hate being compared to cars, but it's like, it's true. Like a car with a lot of miles, that's had a lot of owners, been in a lot of accidents. You're not gonna want to pay top dollar for that, right? Ouch. And you know, it really, I don't really have a good analogy for the men's side of things, except for like, you know, if you look in the animal kingdom, there's so many animals that, like, for example, elephant seals, right? Elephant seals, there'll be one big fucking male, one big motherfucking male who sits on top of a rock all day and just defends his territory. And he'll be surrounded by dozens of women, dozens of females, and he gets to fuck all of them. He gets to breed with all of them. And any man that does come up, he defends their territory against them. And the ladies want that because they know that that big one's going to protect them. That big one's going to protect them, and not only that, but that big one has the best chances for them to have the babies that are going to be the biggest and the strongest, you know? If you look at gorillas, gorillas, you know, chimpanzees, they're not too far from where we are. There's always one male alpha. And even if there are other males there, they play other roles, but they don't get to breed. You know, they don't get the ladies. The Pie says one of my favorite gun and women jokes is great. Wait, is the great thing about guns is that you can trade your 44 for two 22s. Up. Oh, I love that one. Oh, the great things about guns is that you could trade your 44 for two 22. Oh, I love it. Bender says, I can see girls' eyes narrow in my mind if I compare it to a car. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. They just say, and I get it, like, women don't want to be, like, they don't want to be thought of as things. But unfortunately, for them, that's how men think. Men think in terms of things and pretty things. We like pretty things.
Let's go.
And it's like, they used to be honored. It used to be like, oh man, like I love my beautiful woman, like my beautiful car, And it's like they don't want to be objects these days, yet they do nothing but objectify themselves. So, Seven says, men do have great access to more women, Mr. M. Just need a passport. Asia and South America to Africa and to Eastern Europe. The Western entitled women has helped awaken men in the USA. Now go passport, bro. And it's as true as that is. It's very true. I really don't want to give up hope of finding a good woman here because, like, if we want to make changes, it's kind of like the whole immigration thing, right? It's like, I don't think we should be taking in people from other countries because okay, you know what? I'm gonna sleep and then I'm gonna smoke. Now I'm gonna go through this point first because I wanna get this off my chest. But it's like, you think about the immigration thing, right? We're taking, like, especially the way that it works with, like, getting to America, for example. Like, it's hard to get into America legally because you have to take all kinds of tests. And you have to know more than most Americans know about America in order to become, like, a citizen. So, like, all that does is that takes away the talented people from those countries, then brings them to this country. So now you have a bunch of, like, semi-talented people in one place instead of having those talented people over there. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the idea of the way to fix what's here is by going out there and bringing what's out there over here. Because, and here's the thing, too, is that this happens a lot where you go out, you get your passport, you go out, you find a lady over there, you bring her over here, then she makes friends, or, she starts seeing how Americans live, then she starts getting Americanized. That happens a lot. And if not to them, then to their kids. So the thing is like, that the issue may be solved for us in the short term. It's like, we may find our women right now, but the problem's still persisting. The problem's still going out. What's the word that I'm looking for? The problem's still perpetuating. And in fact, all we're doing is we're bringing more people over here to create that problem, to make it bigger. So what I'm trying to find is a way to make the people here realize, hey, what we're doing is wrong. Things aren't working. Things aren't working here. We need to fix our own grass, right? That's what I'm saying, is that we need to mow our own grass. We need to start watering it. We need to start nurturing what we have here. And I see it, man. I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see it in much younger girls. So, like, a lot of the ladies that we're talking about are right around, like, the 30, maybe like 25, 30, something like that. But, like, I'm starting to notice younger girls, 18, 19, 20, 21, that don't necessarily move the way that a lot of these older ladies are. And I think it's because they're starting to realize that these ladies are getting into their 30s and 40s, and they're just angry. They're angry and lonely, and they're not happy. And that's not what they want. So, like, I really truly feel like there are more women around here, at least where I'm at here in Colorado. I'm starting to see more and more young ladies, like, not wearing makeup, not doing the eyelash thing, going more natural, being way more feminine and more submissive. And really, I think that's what it comes down to, is that, like, again, we need to teach the people here how to be true men, how to be true women. That's the only way we're going to make a change. The Pie says, yeah, usually if a guy compares you to a car that he loves, that's usually a good thing. Same with guns or whatever the guy's hobby. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just how we work. Men are object oriented, Like, we like things. Like, look at me. I'm playing a game driving a truck. We like things. He continues to say it's one thing for a talented doctor to come over and learn somewhere for a year or two, then go back home. That's how we spread the skills and increase derivative skills in theory. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that'd be awesome if that's the program that we were doing. Absolutely, I'd be down for that. But most people don't want to do that, you know. And like even here, like you know, people don't want to make changes here. They want to go somewhere else where there are no changes. Myself included. I've been thinking, I'm like, man, I just need to move somewhere. I need to get away from all this, go to a third world country. But that's not gonna make things better. That'll make things better for me. Seven says we take in people from south of the border or Afghanistan, Ukraine, right? Every day. Yeah, I mean, it happens. Then the Pi says, but if they just come over here and live permanently, then that completely reduces the pool where they are from while not really adding much to where they go, and it sucks. Because often the place they're from needs help to be improved more than we do. Yeah, and then that's kind of the point what I was getting at, was that we're all the talented people, all the smart people, the people that can make changes, come over here, and they want to stay over here because things are, you know, quote unquote better and stuff. I mean, you know what? You could even do it a little smaller scale. So, like, I'm from Gary, Indiana, and I hate it there, man. It's such a shitty place. It's so dangerous and just run down and just terrible, terrible place. And I don't want to go back because I hate it. I was like, I'd much rather live in Colorado. I'd much rather pay a lot more money to live somewhere where I'm happier, where things are better. But I could go back there and start putting money into the society over there, you know, into the city. I don't know that I would make much of a difference, but I could. I'm not going to, but I could. But it's also not illegal for me to come over to Colorado, you know, and also I could still make changes here. You know, I can make things happen here that'll affect the entire country, including Gary. I just happen to live in a nicer place. As opposed to going somewhere else where the rules are completely different and I really don't have any impact on where I'm from, opposed to maybe sending some American dollars to my family or something, you know. Anywho, I am loving these conversations, man. Y'all keep it up. I'm gonna go take a smoke. I will be right back. Hang on, let me see. I messed around with my things, with my OBS. There we go. No, my Stream Deck. And I think I messed around with the buttons too much. There we go. I'll be back.
All right, everybody, I am back. Let me see. Do I have water? I need more water. So I want to take this quick second to thank you guys for allowing me to do this, for allowing me to sit here and speak my mind. You know, these are things that I think about just about all day, every day. And I've been thinking about making content around it. And I'm just glad I'm starting it. I'm glad that you guys are here. It really helps having the feedback and really, you know, the people to bounce these ideas off of and stuff and get different opinions. And, you know, I feel like this is the right way to go and that one of these days we're going to reach the right people, you know. And you guys are going to be around. And I thank you for that. Also want to send a shout out to Bender. Hang on one second. My good Bender buddy, my good buddy Bender, 24K, who has his own channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do so. He has a couple of new series, a couple Project Zomboy series that he's working on, and you know, I'm proud of the guy. I'm proud of him. He puts a lot of work into his stuff, and he's learned fast. But if you have not already, check him out. Check out his new videos. Do better than me, and like and subscribe to his stuff. All Zomboid, no Roblox. No Roblox. I can't do Roblox. I'm not a Roblox kind of guy. All right, let me scroll up a bit. And permanently. The place that they are then Pi says, just as an add-on to my thing, I do definitely, hang on. Understand wanting to get away from a place where your family might be killed or some daily for a place with more regular security, etc. Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, you know. But if we go about it the one way, we're just causing more problems, you know, because we're adding more unnecessary people to one spot while taking away the necessary people from that spot. Seven says, I've seen a lot of the content of which the I've seen a lot of the content of other channels on how Western entitled women treat men now. It is just disgusting and sad. Absolutely dehumanizing. It is. The Pi says, it is sad the actual good women get drowned out by the foolish women and turns general opinions sour. Hey, you know what, Seven? I mean, it's very sad, it's very dehumanizing, and it does happen a lot more to men than to women. But, you know, the same things do happen the other way around, you know. It's that small percentage of men that are representing us all that are pissing these ladies off. So, you know, I also got to think about that. Bender says, it's a smart crowd here. Happy to know you people. All Zomboid, no Roblox. Thanks, bro. Boar. Thanks, Boar. Hey, you made another term. Boar. Ah, we got 5 likes and ooh, how many viewers? 3 viewers, 4 viewers? 3 viewers, 5 likes. What's going on, everybody? 7 says, you can't tell them apart because most are Western entitled women are chameleons, asking questions like, so what do you want in a woman? Then they become that fantasy for 6 months, then gotcha. Some men also do it like white knight examples. Yeah, exactly. So it's the same on both ends, you know. It's equal but opposite. And it's kind of like, you know, we could sit here and like point fingers all day and be like, it's the women's fault, it's the men's fault, it's the elite's fault. Ultimately, what it comes down to is we need to take personal responsibility. Ooh, look at that, 70,000. Oh yeah, I am not turning that down. It's a long drive, I don't give a damn. Back to Colorado. The Pi says, very true. Very true indeed. Yeah, I mean, we could sit here point fingers all day, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to save us is self-accountability. You know, is knowing what we need to do in order to make things better. And
Turn left.
And talking about it and keeping, you know, keeping the conversations going. Bennett says, wow, 70K. Yeah, that's definitely the highest I've ever seen, but it's the distance. It's how far it is, because I'll show you how far when I pick up the trailer. It's a pretty good distance.
And you know, and it's unfortunate too because you know all these platforms, YouTube included, they tend to drown out certain voices. You know, and
Get ready.
it's like, you know, if you talk about, you know, anti-woman stuff, quote unquote, not even anti-woman stuff, but like anti-boss babe type stuff, anti-horror stuff, you know, slut shaming, fat shaming, all that stuff, they'll you know, demonetize your videos, they'll take them down. They'll say you're harassing and abusing and all that. But if it's the other way around, if you're talking trash about men, then they're gonna praise it and put it out there more. But you know, we can't let something small like that stop them. That's also why we gotta trust in God, because you know, if we believe that God's up there, which I do, and we believe that He has our best interest in mind, and we have Him in our hearts, and we continue to do the things that we know we need to do. If God's on our side, no enemy can face us, you know? So that's just my two religious sense there. The Pi says, yeah, personal responsibility is sort of the key. If the woman turns out to be a chameleon, you just got to get back into the saddle and keep going. They get left on the dusty trail. It's tough to do, but it is that way. And you know what? Here's the thing, like, women can be chameleons, but if men are really on top of their shit, and know how to vet a woman, then it'd be harder and harder for them. And like, really, I'm starting to learn it's not all that hard. You just gotta ask the right questions and let them talk. Because there's a saying, man, like, if you let a woman talk, she'll let everything out, and she'll tell you exactly how she's feeling. So yeah, so ask the questions, keep asking the questions. And not saying that one's not gonna get through. I was like, hell, I may get got myself one day. I don't really see it happening because I'm so strict with it now, you know. I'm so like just blunt and straightforward. I'm like, I don't take no shit anymore. Hell, I won't even ask a lady out more than once, twice maybe. I just asked the lady out for the second time at work, and she said no. So I was like, all right, that's it. That was the last one. But, you know, I mean, there's always going to be wolves in sheep's clothing, you know. You just got to know how to protect yourself. Honestly, one of the best ways to suss out a chameleon is to mention a prenup. You mention a prenuptial agreement and see how they react. Or a DNA test, a paternity test. Bring those up, see how they act. The chameleons will come right out. Pi says, yep, eventually the makeup comes off, lol. Sometimes they're actually sneaky, but those are rare. Right. I mean, women are very good at manipulating, but to hit a certain level of manipulation, they have to be very good. And honestly, chameleons won't wait around for too long. Because, again, the chameleon's just, you know, she's a feminist in disguise. And she just says the things that she thinks you want to hear. But then, you know, it's the whole bait and switch thing, you know. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. The Pi says, LOL, I love the prenup. And paternity tests are sort of the easy tests, LOL. But super effective. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are very effective. Very, very, very effective. And okay, so here, prenups are a little bit more nuanced, but fellas, if a lady says that she's having your baby, always get a test. I do not care what she says. I don't care how mad she gets at you. I don't care what the case may be. You get that damn test.
Turn left.
I don't care if you have to pay for it out of pocket, if you have to start a GoFundMe, if you have to beg your grandmama for back pay for birthdays that she forgot. I don't care what the hell you got to do. You get that damn paternity test and make sure that kid's yours. As far as prenups are a little different because it's like those only really work if you already have money, if you already have a house and stuff like that. right? So if you're already established, like right now, if I was to meet a lady right now, I wouldn't do a prenup, just because she would be building with me. You know, I don't have a house. I mean, I have a career and all that, and like, you know, once I get a house, things would be different. But I was like, once I, but I don't have a house or anything like that, so there's really nothing for me to protect, you know. And like, if we build it together, then it's only fair that if we split up, that she should get half of it, you know. I mean, that's the reality of things. But if you already have a house, you already have a savings, you already have an investment, get a prenup. I don't care if she makes more than you, which that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. Seven says, yes, wow. True, very effective tests. Prenup and DNA testing too. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, the prenup, and like, I don't care if you just have a house and like a couple thousand in savings. Get that prenup. But, you know, while you're still building and stuff like that, you know, you have to, gotta give them the benefit of the doubt, you know. You gotta be chill about it. There's nothing for you to protect if y'all are building together, you know.
Go straight.
The pie says, yep, once you've got property or money, it's a tool. It's a tool in the pocket, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And from what I understand, prenups aren't even 100% effective, so I was like, you really gotta like study, you really gotta focus it. You really gotta know what you're talking about. And I would say it probably has to be something that you would have to renew like every year, I would assume. The more you get, the more you want to protect, right? I would assume. I don't know how that works. I've never had to do it. It's funny too, like how all of this goes right back to the whole eugenics topic, you know, because, you know, the hypergamy thing. Any lady that's not willing to sign a prenup is sus, you know, that's suspect. And like, I know ladies love to shame men. They love to shame men whenever they have a standard or anything. But they're like, oh, you don't trust me, you don't love me. And it's like, it's not necessarily that. It's really not. And I understand why it feels that way. But you know it's not. It's just protecting your assets, you know? And any high value lady, any good woman who truly cares about you is gonna understand that. She's gonna understand that you've worked hard for what you have, and you're not gonna want it to go away very easy. Because, you know, if she does happen to be a chameleon and she gets through, you know, past your guard, then, I mean, it happens all the time. And I've heard about this recently. Apparently it's a newish law where it's called a no-fault divorce. I guess it used to be where there had to be a reason, either infidelity or abuse or something like that. Even then it was easy to get away with. But now apparently things have changed, and they have a no-fault divorce where people, and generally speaking ladies, because, you know, ladies initiate 80% of divorces. So ladies have the option of opting out of a marriage just because. Like, for legit any reason. Because they're not happy, because they're bored, because they want to go find themselves. And it's justified. And then, I mean, you see how the court systems treat men. They treat men like they're garbage. Things are starting to get better. The tables are starting to turn slowly. But for the most part, men still don't have an advantage. Which is why, like, I'm highly considering, even if I do find my wife, like, not literally getting married, you know, like, just keeping it like a union under God thing. Because really, what is marriage? And that's another thing I want to talk about here once I catch up with Pi. Pi says, from what I've seen with my family, 2 prenups were enacted. And they were sort of done at the start with them when both worked. Okay, let me pause this. Done at the start when they both worked, and they each got 50-50, etc. But at the end, one effectively lost most of it because the other partner stopped working and had medical bills that destroyed the value retained. while the other, she just divorced him and wanted to get away with the kids, and the prenup wasn't used. Interesting. 7 says, in California, if men make less but women make more, the women pay. Example, Bella Poarch married to a husband for 5 years secretly, but Bella, not loyal, was cheating. Husband got $6 million from her $12 million. Half baby. Okay, I got you. Yeah, like I said, the tables are turning. And like, you know, since women are making more money, the courts are starting to like they're starting to tip the balances a little bit more. It's still not nearly where I would consider it fair. So I heard in Japan that once you get married, if you catch your spouse cheating, whether male or female, if you catch your spouse cheating, then you can sue both the spouse and the person that they were sleeping with for $10,000 and end the marriage there. There's no like prenups. There's no like splitting it. It's like, hey, you ended the marriage shittily. They get to sue you. You give them the money and walk away. And I was like, that's fair. That's really fair. It's not fair out here. So like I said, I'm considering. The Pi says, yeah, prenups need to be very, very well researched. Oh yeah, need to be very, very well researched. Yeah. Absolutely, I'm sure. And you know, when I get to that point, I will. I'm still pretty far from that point, though. You know, there's no ladies in the rosters right now. Well, I got a couple ladies in the rosters, but no one in the running to be the next Miss Messenger. You know what I'm saying? Nope, I'm going through. Shall we? Whoa. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah, and I was saying, so like even when I do find my lady, I don't know if I'm actually gonna get married in America, if you know what I mean, like the whole legal thing. Like I'll do everything. I'll make her my power of attorney. I'll put her in my will, you know, make sure she gets everything after I die. Make sure the life insurance she's covered under, you know, so I'll make sure she gets all that shit. But like when it comes to the actual like license, again, I'm like, what is married? You know what I'm saying? Like I understand that the Bible says you should be married to the lady that you sleep with and yada yada yada. But like, oh, look at that. Oh, bruh. I gotta stop talking serious for a second. That's rough damage here. Oh, how did that happen? That'd be cool if that happened. I want to see more destruction. Anyway, Bender says smart. Yeah, thank you. You know, I'm like, I'm just trying to think about like how to protect myself. You know, I'd even give her a ceremony. I would even like book a wedding, book a venue and everything like that, but like not actually sign, not actually get the license. And that would honestly be the safest way. And any lady who wouldn't understand that wouldn't be my wife. Now, I'm not dying on that hill, okay? I'm not saying like that is what I'm gonna do for sure, you know. But it's an idea that I've had, because you know, kind of like Seven says, I've been coming across a lot of these videos of just these nasty women, And not only these videos, but like, you know, even a lot of the ladies that I work with, you know, a lot of the divorcees that I work with, you have to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. But these divorcees, you know, and like to hear how proud they are that they got a divorce and they get to keep their kids, you know, not even the family's kids, but their own kids, you know. We're like, oh, these are my babies and not my husband's. That kind of shit. And I'm like, it's nasty, man. It's gross. It really is. But if you think about it, and I've been married, I'm like, there's really no benefit that you get for that license. You know, the only real benefit that you get is it's all for the ladies. You know, they have a security net, and like I said, they could leave at any time. I was fortunate when I got a divorce. I didn't have anything. She literally spent all my money. So that was a blessing in disguise. You know, like I never would have learned all these lessons had we stayed together, even if we did make a lot of money. Well, we didn't make a lot of money. She just spent it all. But yeah, looking back on it, I'm like, man, there's nothing that we couldn't have done. Like, you know, we got the name change, we got the power of attorney, we did everything, the ceremony. And I'm like, I don't see anything. I don't see any benefit to being married through the state, through the courts. You know what I mean? Seven says, Mr. M, true. Wow, entitled women or Western entitled women who are divorced think children are leverage. So sad for the kids. Yeah, and it's honestly like it shows, you know, the whole, again, I hate throwing this word around there, but the narcissism of a lot of women these days. They have babies, but they're still children themselves. They're still thinking about themselves. You know what I mean? And like there may be, you know, a good amount of dudes that don't want to be in the kids' lives, but like there are, I've seen it plenty of times. Dudes trying to be in their kids' lives, but like the moms won't let it because the courts gave them full custody or whatever the case may be. And like Seven said, they use as leverage, and that's really sad. That's really sad. The kids tend to grow up hating their fathers. I've seen that a lot of the times. I was very fortunate that my mom didn't do that. My mom was a good lady in that sense, where she never talked ill about our fathers, at least in front of us, until we were old enough to understand. And then she would vent her frustrations. So I was like, that she never did. She never talked shit about my dad. And vice versa. My dad, in fact, till this day, my dad has nothing but good things to say about my mom. So I was blessed with that. With two parents who maybe, I mean, they couldn't have made it work. They didn't make it work. But at least they taught me some good lessons on how to treat one another, you know. Because there were there were times too my dad had to put me in my place. Hang on, let me drink some water. For things that I was saying about my mom, you know. Just when I was a teenager, just being an angsty kid, you know. What time is it? Why is my clock not telling me the time? Alright. Perfect. Perfect. Hey, 5 watching. What's going on? 5 watching, 5 likes. How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing tonight? We're talking about some pretty deep stuff. We started on eugenics. Then we started talking about the relationship between men and women and Western women and how men need to act, how women need to act. And now we're talking about families. But it is funny how like all of this, because like, you know, all the family choosing, the breeding, the mate selection, how all of it ties into eugenics, you know. So it just goes to show, like evolution, like is not just as straightforward or evil as it seems, you know. There's a lot of nuances to it, you know. And it's like, at what point does it become wrong? You know, because again, you know, we were talking about people who are born with like disabilities and stuff, and you know, the thing is too is that like I say this all the time too. People, you know, 100 years ago, a lot of these people wouldn't even exist. They wouldn't, you know, they didn't have the medical technology for a lot of people who are alive today to be alive. You know, a lot of these people would just died, and in some societies they would have just tossed them out, left them in the wilderness, threw them over a cliff, you know, whatever. So now we live in a world where many more people, as rare as it may be, you know, with these defects that would normally be debilitating, are being born. And now we're coming to an age where we can kind of detect these things before it happens. So it's like, what do we do then? So is it wrong? And you know, again, I'm gonna stand on the I'm gonna sit on that horse of, you know, I believe abortion's not the right way to go ever.
Okay, let's
But,
new
you know, I can understand why people would want to. Why people wouldn't want to deal with the burden of a child who's that special needs. I don't know how to fix it, whatever. The Pie says, yep, definitely would have died from my illness around 24. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm glad that you live in a time where you didn't. You don't mind me asking, Pie, how old are you? And there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of that kind of situation. And then it's like, you know, we start bringing up eugenics, and it's like 35. Oh, okay, yeah, you're my age, exactly my age, actually. Kind of figured with how, you know, the way you talked. It seemed like you were a bit of an older chap, like myself, a little bit more distinguished. But hey, you live what, 11 years past your expected expiration date? I didn't mean to say it like that. That was the first word that came to mind. But you know, and I mean that's awesome, you know, and I'm very glad. I mean, I'm glad, like I said, we're talking about, you know, people with Down syndrome. There's that guy that had a successful family, you know, had a son who became a dentist. A son who wasn't, you know, and then I don't even know what the word to use is anymore, the non-offensive word, but able-minded, like, I don't know, able-bodied, able-minded, healthy son. You know, I've heard stories of like people with Down syndrome who work at McDonald's, or, you know, work whatever career for 30 plus years and then retire. You know, so it's not like they can't do it. And I think a lot of the times people get offended because it's like, well, you know, you want to change, you want to get rid of babies that have what we have or possibly have what we have. Does that mean, like, you know, you think the world would be better without me? And it's like, that's a sad thought, you know, and I understand what they're saying. But it's like, no, it's not that at all. It's really not. Seven says, look at people who have Down syndrome, have several businesses, or who are Victoria's Secret models. Also, look it up. It's true. It has inspired others too. Yeah, absolutely. My nose itches here. Absolutely. You know, like kind of like I was just saying, like they live perfectly normal lives. Maybe it's a little rougher in the beginning for them to learn, for the learning curve, but you know. The Pie says, let me clarify a bit. I contracted my disease roughly in my mid-teens, but it's probably something that could have been helped by certain programs like that, but also possibly made it worse by it. Then he goes on to say, very true, Ebba. No offense taken either. I laugh at myself constantly. I mean, we have to, right? If we're not laughing at ourselves, we're miserable people. Yeah, I hear that. You know, I'm glad you're still around. You know, I don't know what the disease is. If you want to share the details or whatever. But you know, and then it kind of gets to the point. So it's like, okay, so what about people who contract diseases later on in life? You know, ones that you may not necessarily be able to heal, like HIV or something like that. Like, should they die? Bender says he's glad you're around too, Pi. Yeah, it's amazing that we live in a world where, you know, you can survive all these things. Hell, I mean, my dad, honestly, my father should have been dead several times. I mean, he's been through so many accidents. But, you know, because of modern technology, he was able to survive, you know, and like I said, people are living longer and longer. And it's like, where does the line stop, you know? And it's like, I know right now we may not exactly have the power to manipulate genes yet, but It's getting to that point. You know, someone was saying in one of the videos I was watching, they're saying we're not too far off from someone having like basically like 10 or 12 embryos to pick from, and like you'll be able to get their full biological reading and like how healthy they're gonna be and yada yada yada. And it's like, at what point are we playing God? At what point can we do something but we should not? You know what I mean? That's a tough question. And then again, you know, that leaves the door open for some very scary, for some very dangerous thinking, such as like, you know,
Keep left.
the whole race war thing, you know, because there are people like for example, like, you know, you're telling me these days that they wouldn't be like trying to get rid of white skin, you know? They're like, oh well, any of these babies that have white skin, they need to go because white's evil, white's the devil, you know what I mean? Like, Bender says, I don't like that, but I don't want to deny people's happiness. Yeah, absolutely. Which part? The abortion part, or the splicing genes, or the basically choosing designer babies is what they call it. Making designer babies. Pick the eye colors that you want, pick the nose that you want. The Pi says it's an interesting concept to toy around with. And then Bender says embryo, yeah, the multiple embryos, yeah. Absolutely. And then one thing that I never really thought about, I think people don't really think about this either, is that once the kids grow up, like, imagine how resentful they could be at this point, right? Like, you know, even though we see it as, oh yeah, we did everything we could to make this person the most attractive that we could, to make them, you know, have the healthiest, but then they're gonna get to a point, you know, that kid's gonna grow up and look in the mirror, and then maybe they're not gonna like their eyes, they're not gonna like their eye color, they're not gonna like their nose. I mean, hell, look at us now. Like, even me, like, I'm an attractive guy, okay, and like, you know, I'm not saying that tooting my own horn, but like, you know, I know that because of the attention that I get, because people tell me, because of the way that like ladies act around me, is I know I'm an attractive guy, and like there's still things about myself that I would change. You know, so imagine how bad it would get psychologically if we begin to create a race of perfect looking people who are absolutely perfect, and they're not going to be happy with it. You know, so how far is it going to go? Seven says, sad how Western entitled women grooming the younger ladies into the street princess by sharing negative advice and very poor choices shared on TikTok or Instagram and YouTube platforms. Yeah, absolutely, Seven. I agree. And you know, they blame, like, you know, older men, like for myself, for example. They're like, oh yeah, you want a young lady because you can groom her. Yeah, you're damn right. You're damn right. I want to find me a young 21, 22-year-old so I can groom her to be the woman that I need for her to be for me and for my family. Whoa, that I need her to be for me and my family, you know? And people use it as a negative term, but like, you know, but look at, like Seven said right now, it's like society's grooming them with all this, you know, boss babe, get your own bag, men are trash, yada yada yada. The Pi says, one of the things that toyed with the results of this was an anime called Gundam Seed, where designer babies were given superior genes and create their own society and made massive advancements. Then in the Gundam Seed story, the naturals and the modified went to war because of their new differences. Yeah, went to war. But it says airborne. I don't know about airborne. I definitely went on two wheels on both sides. So that was kind of creepy. Speaking of creepy, let me... Oh, never mind. Music's good. You know what? I have heard about that. The Pi. Actually, Blizz, he's a big Gundam fan, and he's told me about that. Which is an interesting idea. You know, and honestly, I wasn't even thinking about that, about the Seed and the normals going to war. I was just thinking about, like, the advanced ones on their own, you know, by themselves. Because again, you know, like humans, like with what we have right now, we're never happy. We're never happy. So like, you know, you get these people, perfect looking people, you know, tall, dark skin, bright green eyes, you know, muscular, super athletic. You know they're gonna grow up and not like something about themselves, and then they're gonna blame their parents. And now they can't blame their parents because it's like, well, you chose this for me. Why don't I look like you? You know, why didn't you choose something more attractive for me? I mean, hell, people get mad at their names. People get mad at the names that parents pick for them. Can you imagine if you picked, like, what parents picked what their kids looked like from head to toe? It's just, unfortunately, it's gonna lead to all kinds of vanity. To the likes of which we haven't even seen yet. Like, we think we live in a vain world right now.
Right.
But imagine when you can change anything about your DNA. Good lord. Check out the movie Gattaca. Spelling? Gattaca. I've heard the name. I don't know anything about Gattaca, but I have heard the name. I'll try to look into that. The Pie says, yeah, I'm not going to say it's worth a watch, but it's something that what would happen doesn't often get looked at. We are all human still, right? What changed? Well, if you like BattleTech / Mech Warrior, yeah, fair enough. Then you have the genetically enhanced clan trying to destroy the non-enhanced for purely religious reasons in a way. 7 says, Western entitled women grooming them for options for Chads, Tyrones, Miguels, and Jet Lis. Then 7 says, love that Gundam scene. It sounds interesting. You know, like you said, it does sound like something else that you know, you wouldn't even think about. And look at, I mean, they even kind of did it in Futurama with the mutants and the non-mutants, you know? Bender would know all about that one. The Pie says, I really enjoyed Gundam Seed myself. That's what's up. Yeah, like I said, Blizz has watched it. I'm not an anime guy. I like mech and like games, like mechanoid games and stuff like that, but I don't know. Never sat down and watched the Gundam Wing. I like putting the models together and painting them. That's fun. Yo. Yep, LOL, the little hints of what could go wrong is out there. And then 7 says, Gundam Endless Waltz. Yeah, I don't know anything about the different Gundam wings, I just know about them. And Blizz talks about them quite a bit. Talk to Blizz about Gundam Wing and Final Fantasy Tactics. He'll talk to you all day. And the Pie says, Waltz is amazing. Love the mechs from it too. Word. But yeah, I mean, that is an interesting concept. And like you said, it's that kind of stuff isn't touched on much. And to be honest, I think it's gonna be even worse than a war. In fact, right now, I'll be honest, a war, like a true legit war, is probably one of the best things that could happen for. And like, I mean, I hate saying that. I really hate saying that. Like, I don't want to like be like, yeah, let's go to war. But it's like, a war would help us right now come together. I don't want it to come to that. Hopefully it doesn't. But like, a war wouldn't be such a bad thing right now. What I'm more worried about is like the implosion of society. You know, like society destroying itself from the inside, which is happening right now. You know, look at what's that chick's name? Bender showed me this lady. She's I don't know if she's a streamer, but she talks about like gaming news, and she had mentioned Lara Croft and how she went from the old school Lara Croft, you know, with the huge hips and the giant tits, to the newer one who, even though she's not necessarily an unattractive woman, she doesn't look like a woman as much, you know. They made her look a little bit more boyish, you know, and it's kind of like they're trying to make everyone look the same. They're trying to make men look like women, women look like men, make everyone androgynous. We all do the same things, we all act the same way, we all think the same way, we all look the same. We all follow the same leaders. Bah, bah, you know, that's what we're becoming. The Pie says, I actually agree with you. We need something really nasty that actually shows what's going on and how that world really works to these blind or obstinate fools. And then Bennett says, Melanie go boom. Yeah. Screw that. I will not conform. We won't obey. Absolutely. Do not obey. Do not conform.
Keep left.
The Pie says, you know, he agrees with me, and I'm like, it's sad to say. It really is sad to say that a war would actually help us right now. But, yeah, I mean, it's true. It's so true. The Pie says, yeah, she's sort of part of the crowd I watch talking about pop culture and how what is going wrong. Yeah. Or what's wrong is gone. There we go. What's wrong is gone. Yeah, I don't watch it too much. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really care for her voice. She kind of annoys me. But I've watched some of her stuff, and that one I found interesting. And actually, she mentioned how not only did they make her look more like a man, they made her look more like a boy, but like, you know, they did it because they wanted to like desexualize Lara Croft. You know, they gave her smaller boobs, smaller hair. You know, basically made her look more realistic. And she was saying, but if you've played the games, she's actually been more sexualized. Like, I know of at least one part where she was close to being raped. You know what I mean? And like, she was put in this much more raw, visceral scenario where like the old school Lara Croft was doing backflips over Tyrannosaurus and like shooting him in the face while fighting off wolves. You know what I mean? Like, she was essentially a superhero. And, you know, again, Melanie made a good point that like superheroes are supposed to look superheroic. They're supposed to look sexier and stronger than the average human. And that's what Lara Croft was, you know, and she did superheroic things, but then like, you know, now she's more realistic. She's going, and now, you know, I haven't played the newest game, but the one that I did play, she was a little bit more sexualized. You know, and that was probably an attempt to make the bad guy, to make the man look bad, you know. Man bad. Man bad. Man bad. And then the Pie says, LOL, I find her a bit rough to listen to sometimes, definitely. Yeah, she's a very pretty lady. She's very well spoken. She's a little masculine for my taste. I dig her tattoos. But no, I mean, I like her content, you know, and I'm gonna keep watching her. She's not one that I can sit there and listen to. But I do appreciate what she's doing. And you know, she's got a good setup. You know, she's got a good setup. She's got a good look. She's got a good following. So I ain't taking nothing away from her. Just not my taste personally. Pretty eyes. She has really big, pretty eyes. I'm a sucker for eyes. But yeah, that was an interesting watch. The one she was talking about Tomb Raider, about Lara Croft. I didn't watch the whole thing. But you know, there's a couple other ones that I'm gonna look into eventually. When I get around to it. All right, I think it's coming up on that time for me to get out of here. Not only have we changed the subject many times, but I'm also getting tired. It's getting late. And not that it's a bad thing. I'm really digging this. I'm really digging this format. You know, if you guys ever have any subjects you want to talk about, or any new information or anything like that, let me know. The way I'm doing this is like I'm really just like thinking about a subject whatever kind of comes to me, you know. And then I'll put it in the title for the next stream. So there's really no rhyme or reason. Although next week, hopefully next week, if not the week after, I'm trying to get one of my coworkers on as a guest, as a special guest. We're gonna talk about the armor and the weaponry of God and spiritual warfare, and basically how to fight the devil, how to fight temptation, and like what that all actually means, what it looks like. You know, she's been doing a lot of research on it, and so I asked her to be on the show with me. So we're gonna figure out how that all looks logistically. I'll probably get her on Discord, and we'll probably just talk. You know, I'll probably have her watch the stream while we're talking. But that'll be cool. That'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really hoping to set that up next week. Let me go ahead and catch up on these chatters. Seven says Pi was going to be a concept artist for animation, but was turned down also for comic book artist. But Jim Lee and guys from Image didn't want me, so went into another field, exercised my options. Then Seven says, thank you for the live stream, Mr. M. Thanks, Pi and Bender. Pi says, nice, Abba. I'm sorry they rejected you, but with the way it turned out for you, maybe for the better. But good for you. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, it's disappointing when things don't work out the way you want it to. You know, when you lose opportunities like that. But, you know, everything happens in God's time, you know, and it all happens for a reason. Bender says, good to hang out with you, Abba. Catch you next time. That sort of sounds excellent. We'll make sure she feels welcome. Oh, yeah, no, I absolutely, I know you guys will. I know she'll absolutely feel welcome. And yeah, Seven, you take care. Thank you so much for stopping by, for your inputs. We always love having you around. Hopefully your project's going well. Hopefully you're feeling blessed. I'll keep you in my prayers. Take care. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna head out too. I'm gonna head out myself. I will do a prayer tonight. So let's coast. There we go. Stop and quit. Stop and quit. Actually, I want to check a couple things out. Foists. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. I'm getting money. Not too much longer here. I'm gonna be able to pay off on my bills. What do I got? Like 200. Oh yeah, I'm about 100,000 short. 130,000. Not too chub. Let's check out my drivers. I want to start hiring more drivers. I need bigger garages. Not shabby. I know you missed out on a couple jobs though, you asshole. Alright, maybe it wasn't you. Oh yeah, it was you. Ah. Check you out. Okay. This one, she doesn't do many because she does very long distances, but man, she gets big profits when she's done. But she does like 50, 60-hour trips. That's because I had her max out on long distance. Getting on fuel economy, I don't know if that does anything for the NPCs, but whatever. You know, we'll figure it out. Anywho. Alright, let's do this. I'm gonna get on out of here. Let's do the Alt-Tab thing so I can see. Let me mess with my buttons. I'm gonna fuck around with my buttons here. No. There we go. Aha! Success! Well, Bender says, thanks, Mr. Messenger. Good topic / conversation as usual. Oh, yeah, always. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. The show would be nothing without you guys. And Bender, I'm very looking forward to our project. For those of you that don't know, Bender and I have a project going on. I'm not going to give any details yet. We officially started working on it today. I don't know when we're going to have the first one out, but we're definitely doing this. So keep an eye out for that. Let us pray. Hang on. I got a sneeze coming in. Alright, looks like 3. Okay. I didn't want to start praying and then, like, you know, I have to stop right away. Boop, boop. Good time, Mr. Ben and Amber. Y'all take care. Bender says, with the triple. Pop, pop, pop. You're damn right. Alright, my friends. Let's go ahead and bow our heads and close our eyes. After I stop this music. to our greatest creator. Thank you so much for allowing us to get together for another stream. You know, they've always been amazing. They've always been fun. But now they're getting real. And I thank you for giving me this idea, and I thank you for, you know, for my viewers who do enjoy the newer content. Things are gonna be good, and by your name, by your grace, we're gonna make changes. And it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my viewers. It's gonna be you and everyone out there. We're gonna spread some good messages and hopefully change this world before it's too late. In your name we pray, amen and amen. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I am Gabriel the Messenger. Gabriel the Messenger. I need to work on my outro. Whatever. We had good conversation, we had good talks, we had good games. I'm gonna head on out of here. Y'all be easy, I'll catch you next time.